Ed, on sometimes a single moment forces an entire room to remember what integrity truly looks like. Sometimes it is not the loudest voice that changes everything, but the calmest one. And on this day, inside a federal courtroom where history has been shaped again and again, something unfolded that no one expected. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments where you are watching from. We would love to see how far this conversation is reaching. The air in the courtroom felt unusually heavy, as though every person sensed that an ordinary conference had quietly become something far more significant. The murmurs faded. Even the shifting of chairs stopped. Judge Edith H. Jones, a figure whose name had carried weight across nearly 4 decades of American jurisprudence, slowly rose from her seat. Her gaze, steady and unblinking, settled on Representative Jasmine Crockett. There was nothing dramatic about her movement, no theatrics, no raised voice, and yet the silence that spread through the room felt like a storm gathering without wind. For years, Judge Jones had watched the national conversation drift into dangerous territory. Political rhetoric had become sharper, less thoughtful, more willing to question the legitimacy of institutions that held the country together. And when she heard Congresswoman Crockett speak earlier that morning, something inside her finally shifted. "Congresswoman Crockett," she began, each word delivered with the calm authority of someone who had spent a lifetime choosing her words with precision. "Your recent remarks about our judiciary are deeply troubling." Ripple moved through the crowd. Legal scholars leaned forward. Reporters lifted their pens. Even the clerks paused, sensing the gravity of what was happening. Crockett's eyes widened slightly, startled that the judge had chosen to address her publicly. This was not the setting for confrontation. This was supposed to be a place of measured conversation, academic presentations, and professional courtesy. But Judge Jones had reached her limit. "You misunderstand the core of judicial independence," the judge continued, "and misunderstanding the Constitution at this level comes at a cost far greater than political frustration." The words did not echo. They simply settled into the room like a truth no one could avoid. Asterisk. But what happened next surprised everyone. The Congresswoman did not argue. She did not defend herself. She did not fire back with political rhetoric. She simply listened. And in that pause, the energy of the courtroom shifted. It was no longer a clash. It had become something deeper, almost intimate, an elder stateswoman, speaking to a younger leader who had not yet fully understood the weight of her influence. Crockett finally responded, her voice quieter than before, more thoughtful. "Judge Jones, could you help me understand where you believe I crossed the line?" There it was, the unexpected spark that would change everything. Humility. Real. Uncalculated humility. The room felt different now. Something human had entered the space that legal arguments could never match. Judge Jones exhaled, almost softly, as though she recognized the sincerity in Crockett's question. "Congresswoman," she said, "your passion for justice is evident. But passion becomes dangerous when it urges judges to abandon the very foundations of the rule of law." She stepped closer, not as an adversary, but almost as a mentor. When a lawmaker criticizes judges because she dislikes the outcomes of lawful rulings, the judge explained, the public begins to lose trust, not in the politician, but in the courts themselves. And once trust in the courts is gone, the Constitution becomes only words, not a living safeguard. Crockett lowered her head slightly, the weight of those words pressing against her conscience. "I understand," she murmured. "At least, I think I am beginning to." The judge nodded. "Then let me be more clear. If the laws themselves are flawed, it is your responsibility, not ours, to change them. And if you believe injustice persists, your power is not in criticizing judges, but in crafting better laws that allow us to deliver justice more faithfully." A few seats away, an elderly scholar wiped his glasses. Another attorney whispered, "This is extraordinary," under his breath, but nothing prepared them for what came next. Jasmine Crockett placed both hands on the podium and took a breath. So steady it felt like she was preparing for something life-altering. "Judge Jones," she said, "I want to apologize." A collective gasp rose instinctively. Several court reporters froze mid-sentence. A few judges exchanged wide-eyed glances. No one expected this, not in an era where public apologies were often replaced by excuses and counterattacks. "My frustration with certain rulings," Crockett continued, voice trembling with sincerity, "made me speak in ways that were disrespectful to the judiciary and to the Constitution I swore to uphold. I let passion outweigh discipline. I let emotion overshadow understanding, and I see now how wrong I was." The room was still. This was vulnerability at a level rarely witnessed among elected officials. Asterisk, I allowed my commitment to justice, she said, to blind me to the boundaries that protect our democracy, and for that, I am deeply sorry. Asterisk, Judge Jones's stern expression eased, just slightly, not with triumph, but with something almost like gratitude. Asterisk, Congresswoman Crockett, she replied, it takes tremendous courage to say what you just said. Asterisk, this was no longer a confrontation. It had become a turning point. Asterisk, a lesson, a dialogue, a bridge between two branches of government that were too often at odds. Asterisk, Crockett leaned forward, almost urgently. Judge Jones, if you are willing, I want to learn. I want to understand how to fight for change without undermining the system we rely on. Will you help me do that? Asterisk, another wave of surprise rolled across the courtroom. A member of Congress, asking a federal judge for guidance. It was unthinkable, and yet, in this moment, it felt completely right. Asterisk, Judge Jones allowed the smallest, warmest smile to form. Yes, she said, I would be honored. Asterisk, she turned to the room, speaking now not to a single congresswoman but to every person present, and, eventually, to millions who would watch the moment online. Asterisk, our system works, she said, only when each branch honors the responsibilities of the others. Lawmakers write the laws, judges interpret them, and neither side can overreach without damaging the balance that protects every American. Asterisk, Crockett listened intently, jotting down notes like a student eager to absorb every syllable. Asterisk, when you find a law unjust, Judge Jones explained, your path is to reform it, not to pressure judges into ignoring it. True justice demands both courage and restraint. Asterisk, Crockett nodded, no longer defensive, no longer impulsive. She was learning something she had never fully understood before. Justice and respect are not opposites. They are partners. Asterisk, so, the Congresswoman asked softly, if I see sentencing practices that harm communities, I should focus my energy on changing the laws that shape them, not on accusing judges of failing the people. Exactly, the judge replied. And if I do that, Crockett added, I will be strengthening the judiciary, not weakening it. Asterisk, yes, Judge Jones said, and many judges will welcome those reforms. Asterisk, for the first time since the confrontation began, Crockett smiled, a small smile, but genuine. Asterisk, I understand now, she said, and I want to do better. Asterisk, Judge Jones placed a hand near the podium, not touching Crockett's, but close enough to feel symbolic. Then you have already taken the first step. You chose understanding over pride, growth over ego, and that choice is leadership. What happened next felt almost surreal. Applause began in the corner of the room, soft, hesitant, respectful, asterisk, then it spread, row by row, person by person, asterisk, until the entire courtroom, judges, lawyers, clerks, and observers stood to honor both women, not for winning, not for losing, but for showing the nation what respect and humility in leadership truly look like. Asterisk, Judge Jones raised her hand gently, calling for silence. Her voice carried both the wisdom of age and the fire of conviction. Asterisk, this, she said, is what the framers of our Constitution hoped for. Leaders who could speak honestly, disagree respectfully, and still protect the integrity of the system that binds us together. Asterisk, she turned to Crockett once more. Remember this moment, Congresswoman, you proved today that our democracy is strongest when leaders choose growth instead of pride. Asterisk, Crockett bowed her head in gratitude. Thank you, Judge Jones. And thank you for giving me the chance to understand what I could not see before. I promise to carry this lesson into everything I do. Asterisk, in the days that followed, the moment spread across social media, news outlets, classrooms, and dinner tables across the country. People were stunned, inspired, moved. They saw something rare, a public figure admitting a mistake, and a judge responding not with punishment, but with wisdom. Asterisk, and together, the two women created a moment that reminded America of something essential. Justice is not just a system. It is a relationship, a balance, a shared commitment to something larger than personal pride. Asterisk, a reminder that democracy thrives, not when leaders are perfect, but when they are willing to learn. If this story moved you, inspired you, or restored a little bit of your faith in American leadership, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment that changes the way we see our institutions. Powerful conversations like this one are just the beginning.